Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of The Lindsay Elmore Show. When Patrick Hanaway first told me that he was willing to come and be interviewed on the show, I was overwhelmingly joyed because he brings so much knowledge. When I learned that he was coming to my house to record in studio, I grew even more in my joy because in this day and age, it is harder and harder to have meaningful face-to-face conversations. What I learned in my interactions with Dr. Hanaway is that he's not only a brilliant physician, but also a heart-centered healer who understands that health is so much more than simply what we eat, how we exercise, how we sleep. On today's episode of the show, we talk about traditional healing. We talk about functional medicine. We talk about the importance of understanding that uncertainty is simply a part of the journey. We also talk about lifestyle factors. We talk about the microbiome, and we talk about how people can truly heal by combining health, food, feelings, and the microbiome that is in us, on us, and all around us. Let's get to the show. Welcome to The Lindsay Elmore Show, a podcast for people who deserve to be healthy, with honest, open, and enlightening conversations with doctors, thought leaders, creatives, and spiritual gurus. You'll walk away with simple and tangible tips and tricks that allow you to live your healthiest life so you can pursue your dreams, overcome obstacles, and leave your mark. Welcome, everybody, to today's episode of The Lindsay Elmore Show. I am so excited to have Dr. Patrick Hanaway here with me today. He is a board-certified family physician trained at Washington University, and for more than 20 years, he has worked with his wife in clinical practice at Family to Family, your home for whole healthcare in Asheville, North Carolina. After 10 years as Chief Medical Officer at Genova Diagnostics, Dr. Hanaway became the Chief Medical Education Officer for the Institute of Functional Medicine. In 2014, he was the founding medical director of the Cleveland Clinic Center for Functional Medicine. There, his research focuses on nutrition, the microbiome, and evaluating value in functional medicine care. His teaching emphasizes the essential nature of uncertainty in clinical practice, allowing practitioners to use curiosity and compassion to help patients. In 2018, Dr. Hanaway was diagnosed with stage 4 laryngeal cancer. His life has been transformed through a functional and integrative approach that includes using nutrition, shamanic healing, acupuncture, herbs, prayer, chemotherapy, radiation, community support, and spending time in nature and in love. His most recent medical evaluations have demonstrated that he no longer has evidence of disease, and life continues to be filled with uncertainty. He is also an indigenous healer who holds community fires, leads ceremonies, and offers traditional healing sessions. Dr. Patrick Hanaway, welcome to the Lindsay Elmore Show.
Lindsay, thank you so much for having me here. It's wonderful.
Not only are we getting to talk, but we're getting to talk in person. So it is such an honor to have you here in the studio today. You've done a lot in your career, and you have learned a lot, I'm sure made some mistakes. And then even though you're like the guy in functional medicine, the unexpected happened and you got diagnosed with cancer. And oftentimes people think of all of these setbacks and all of these problems as taking on a fault, taking on like, this is a shame that I'm not supposed to have to bear. In all of everything that you have learned, how have you learned to view the healing process?
Healing, to be made whole. We are all working on, striving towards that wholeness, that integration, that understanding, and yet we're human. We make mistakes and things unfold. For me, the diagnosis of cancer, came like the day before Thanksgiving, a couple years ago, and I had this feeling of a dear friend of mine, Lee Lipsenthal, who'd had stage 4 esophageal cancer, and he, when he got it, he was ready to die. He was 56, and he was like accepting, and I never could understand that until that moment, and then I could understand it, and I said, to my sons the next day on Thanksgiving Day, we were together. He said, I can accept whatever happens, and I meant that, like without expectation. And my eldest son said, you say that like you don't care if you live or you die. He said, I want to help you, but if you don't want to live, then I'm not going to waste my time. Which was a powerful thing to hear from your eldest son. So within that process, it was like, oh no, I want to live. And so that means I have to embrace what I've shared with patients for many years, and that is cancer is a call for transformation. Something is growing out of control inside you. You're not in balance. What is that? What can you learn? Others have talked about, the cancer whisperer. What is the cancer telling you? And listening to that. And I got to, through work, as it unfolded, I was actually, in a time of a month-long fast to go on a pilgrimage when this occurred. And when I first felt it, I'd had 2 indigenous healers in our home teaching, but I didn't want to share with them what was going on, what I felt before I knew what was happening, because I didn't want to steal the thunder. But it was also like, these people care about me so deeply, but I wasn't ready to receive from them.
It's a profound observation to be able to look back and go, I wasn't ready to receive yet.
Yeah. So I was fasting, preparing for pilgrimage to sacred sites in Mexico, where I go on a regular basis for the past 20 years. And when I went there, what I realized was, in order to heal, to be made whole, I needed to receive help from other people. I needed to ask for help from other people, not just receive it. I needed to ask for it. And I spent so much of my life offering help. And I got to a point, I just was sharing this with someone earlier today, a patient, I realized that in caring for others, I was trying to fill some need I had to be okay about myself. And that really, that's not really caring. And that when I take care of myself and I am focused on that, when the oxygen mask drops, put it on yourself first. I needed to do that. And that became a total shift in my view. And it didn't mean that what I've done in the past was any less useful to people, but now it was moving from a very different place. And that allowed me to be able to see the transformation in myself of caring for myself and connecting to people in a different way, of not just giving, and being the ox, and I can do this, and I can put it on my back, I can carry it, but rather, hey, let's do this together. Let's work. Let me help you. Let you help me. Let's be a community and allow that to emerge. So those were some of the insights that happened in healing, and blessed to have so many different connections and people and opportunities. So the healing, the being made whole, happened through many different layers of what medicine was, to include the chemotherapy and the radiation therapy. That surprised me. But I was able to develop deep relationships with people in those sectors as well. So holism is about the whole. I saw something the other day where someone said, well, they were talking about surgery and saying that's not holistic. And I'm like, no, actually everything is what holism is about. And how do we not create a polarity? How do we not, say this part's wrong and this part's right and have righteousness in our view, but rather how do we actually listen to many different perspectives on healing or in life and be able to, be curious about, well, gosh, that's different than what I think. Can you help me understand that, rather than about trying to make some other view wrong, or some view the only view possible.
It's so dangerous when you get into that thinking where it's this way and it's always this way. I remember when I was in pharmacy school, someone at some point taught me, don't ever say never and don't ever say always, because as soon as you start doing that, a patient's going to come along, they're going to completely surprise you. And what you said about cancer as a call for transformation, it reminds me so much of Dr. Connie Grouds, who is a pharmacist who is also a shaman. And she was so powerful in my life because when I met her, I had torn my ACL. And I'm telling her how horrible my life is. And she just stops me and says, what is this injury teaching you? What is this injury teaching you? And so everything that we go through, all of it is there to help call us into action. And I would venture a guess that you're actually even a better clinician, better physician, because you understand so much more what it's like, because the medical system is hard. It's very, very hard to navigate. It's hard to make decisions about what the best thing to do is.